Amy, are you a witch?
I'm not a witch, but I can make something disappear.
She sure can.
How the you know, Harold?
Bring back shame.
She's a real Hoetogo. How does she sleep at night?
On your husband's chest. She already told you.
I just rang your doorbell because I have a couple questions for you. What? Are you sure?
Have you ever wondered if the unseen forces of the world could shape our lives in ways we can't explain? Dark magic, hexes, curses. Some say these ancient practices are nothing more than superstition, but others claim they've seen the unthinkable. People who dabble in witchcraft, who cast spells, aren't just playing with fire, but they could be tempting fate. The victims are often powerless to stop it, and some are just simply unaware that they have been a target for these spiritual attacks. Could you be cursed without even knowing it? Can someone's dark intentions actually harm you from afar? Throughout history, there have been countless tales of those who paid the ultimate price: death, for meddling with forces beyond their control, or even just crossing paths with dark magic. Are these stories real? Or just another fabrication? Tonight, we dive into some terrifying stories of witchcraft, hexes, and dark magic. So grab your holy water because you just might need it.
Hey, y'all, heads up. Go and walk around your yard and make sure that it ain't nothing weird up in your yard. What you mean weird? I just came out here and took my trash out. Looked in the rocks, right? It's a long, rusty, crusty, dusty ass nail. If you know, you know. Clear sign of fucking witchcraft. Ain't no need for no nails around here. Why is the nail? And I maintain my yard. I come out here and clean up my shit. You gotta be spiritually aware so you can know how to fight these motherfuckers. Go out there, take your seesaw. Bless your seesaw, then bless your house. Bless your yard. Walk around and rebuke all that negative energy. Return it to sender. You gotta stay protected. And it's the fucking full moon. These motherfuckers be thinking that they got you. Long as you stay aware, long as you stay in alignment with the Most High, you gonna always have a bird's eye view. You gonna always be 10 steps ahead. But fuck you. Return y'all all y'all negative ass energy, witchcraft to you and everything attached to you, bitch.
Hey y'all, get ready with me while I tell y'all about the time that I was dealing with this Caribbean man that put a root on me, y'all. A heavy root. Like, I could not escape this man. And he legit, you know, when I first met him, we was talking for a while. We dated for a while. We slept together. I woke up to breakfast in bed. This man always loved to cook for me, child. He always wanted to cook for me. And that was root antics 101, okay? When a man is always trying to cook for you, baby, you need to watch out, all right? You need to watch out. So he would tell me things like, oh, I got this special paper from my country, you know, back home where he's from. I'm not going to say where he's from because he might be watching this show. And I don't got no time. Look, I don't want no smoke. Don't go see the lady about me no more. Because the lady in a lot of Caribbean countries is not the lady that we go see when, you know, when we be saying we need to go see the lady. It'd be the other type of lady, child. He like, oh, yeah, I got this paper from my country and I wrote your name on it and I put it under my bed. And I'm like, what? You put what? And I'm like, what else did you write on this paper? He's like, oh, just the things that I want to happen. I said, oh. Mind you, don't get me wrong, this man was fine as all outdoors. He was fine, so he didn't even need to do all of that. And I still probably would have been like jacking him on his beat extra hard. So fast forward, you know, we still vibing or whatever the case may be. And I was outside. I was outside. I cannot lie. I was the fuck outside during those times. And he would always be like, why you always gotta be out or whatever? Like, so strange things would happen. Like, I would feel myself like getting sick, like whenever he didn't want me to go out nowhere. Or like just something would always be delayed. Like one time I was going to Miami and like my flight was canceled. Like all sorts of crazy things was happening when I wanted to go somewhere and do something that did not include him. And then another time he said he put his dick in my tea. You heard that right? He put his penis in my tea. Legit. And I was like, what? You put your what in a what? And then he would be like, oh, I'm just joking. Child, he also told me one time that he had my panties in a bowl, once again, under his bed. And I'm like, why does this man keep telling me these things and talking about putting stuff under his bed? Then he also left a pair of his shoes by my door that he never, ever, ever came to get. Like, he never wanted to get them. And these were some nice, expensive shoes. And I used to be like, hey, you don't want to come and get your shoes? No, it's because he was trying to stop anybody else from entering into my threshold. Long story short, I could not get off this man. This man did some stuff. I had found out some stuff about him, and I could not get off him because he put a rip on me, a heavy one at that. And I would dream about him. I always thought about him. I always wanted to be near him. I didn't care. I wanted to drink his bathwater. It was that bad. Something really, really terrible came out. Like, I have found out something about him that I don't know if I want to share yet. Maybe I'll tell y'all in part 2 if y'all want part 2, but baby, even with that, I could not get off this man. Like, it took so long. Like, I had to do a lot of spiritual cleansing, cord cutting, spiritual baths, and all sorts of things to get off this man, child. It was very, very, very hard. And don't get me wrong, like, he was like chef's kiss. Like, I have to keep putting that out there because when you think of a man putting a root on you, your mind automatically goes to somebody that's just like unattractive, or you know, like that you really, they can't have it and get wet for it. But like, no, like, he legit was hot. Like, he was fine. He was tall. He dressed really nice. And he even had an accent. And I didn't know if I was into that, but I liked it. Like, the sex was out of this world. And of course he would, you know, do sex magic. Y'all already know how that goes. Y'all want more on that, then just let me know, okay? Ooh. That's also one of the reasons why I don't know if I'm going to ever date another Caribbean man, because, child, I'm American, and what, you know, the hoodoo and stuff that we do out here ain't got, they don't hold a candle. And those people just like legit just practice that. It don't even be like for a cause. It don't even be because you're trying to like do something to somebody necessarily. It's just really like a customary thing, which I'm not mad at. I'm here for it. But baby, I could not shake that man. It took a long, long time of those days. And the only thing that really made me shake him, I personally believe, was his Caribbean baby mama. Because I know that bitch, she did some heavy, she definitely did some things. I know she did. She used to harass me, like stalk me all the time. She knew where I worked. The bitch was insane. And I had no idea she existed until I did. And even when I finally found out that she existed, it still took me a while to get off this man. It was so hard. And I know it was because of some shit that she was doing. Now, well, not even now, but the last couple times I saw him, it just went away. Whatever she did worked. It just went away. If y'all want more detail, let me know. I might share. But, child, have you ever had a man put a root on you? Because, baby.
I'm kind of shaken to my core right now. I had an intuitive healing session, and the person I tapped into runs an Airbnb, and some crazy fucking people booked her Airbnb. The cops were called late at night from her neighbor, who was this older woman, was absolutely fucking terrified. Like, she said when her neighbor called her, she thought someone had passed away. That's how scared she was. But the people who booked her Airbnb were doing some sort of ritual, sex ritual, and I muscle tested and incorporated blood. And they all left all these masks behind, like these really scary looking fucking masks. And here's the thing. I'm very respectful of all practices, but this ritual specifically was extremely dark. I also muscle tested that they were really harming one of the women who was in the middle of this like sex ritual. So much so that her neighbors could hear her screams, blood-curdling screams from inside the house, which is why the cops were called. And I also muscle tested that this ritual had to do with getting the attention of some type of spirit, getting their attention to show their devotion in order to obtain some type of divine knowledge or some type of spiritual knowledge. Again, I respect the fact that there is duality of everything. There's light, there's dark, but this specifically, there was something very, very dark going on, and not in a good way. When I tapped into her house, I was physically trying to pull all of the shit from this ritual out of her house so that it wouldn't be stagnant and held there. But every time I kept pulling it out, it kept coming back up. And I was like, oh my God, the energy has literally been transferred into the ground of your property. It's not just attached to your house. It's attached to the actual property, the land underneath the foundation of the house. And so I had to sweep and get clean out all of that shit, put an energetic field around it, bless it, set terms to the house. But I'm not gonna lie, when I was tapping in and I was seeing this black ink leaking out of her house and seeing what was happening, it shook me to my core. I'm not gonna lie.
I found out that my sister-in-law put a hex on me the day of her funeral. My husband comes from a long line of money, and I come from a long line of brokenness. When my husband first brought me around his family, his parents did not like me, and his sister really hated me, all because I was broke. Eventually, his parents learned to love me, but the one that just never got over it was his sister. Every single time she would see me, she would humiliate me, she would call me out of my name, and she would tell me that I was their maid. Fast forward, my husband tells me that he would like to have his parents over for dinner, his sister, my brother, and my parents. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, that would be a good idea. While at dinner, his sister decides to tell me, hey, you, maid, get up and serve me. Now, usually I let the comments slide, but because my parents were there, I was not going to be disrespected in my home and in front of my parents. We start arguing, and she tries to fight me. Her dad drags her out of my house, and as she's being dragged out, she said, you're gonna regret this. Watch what's going to happen. I will see you at your funeral. After that incident, I became very sick. Anything I would eat, I would be throwing up. My hair started falling off. I would bruise very easily. I went to the ER 3 times in the middle of the night because I felt like someone was physically coming up to me and choking me. And all my doctor said was that I was having a lot of anxiety, I was having stress, and I was having panic attacks, and I needed to calm down. My mom told me, ¿por qué no te hacemos una limpia? So she convinced me, and we end up visiting this guy that she always would go to get her limpias and get her cards read and stuff like that. When this guy first sees me, he told me, oh my goodness, you are clouded by such dark energy. Something is going on with you. He did a limpia on me, and he gave me this necklace, and he told me to put it in my front door. And he said that whoever had gave me this bad energy, once they would walk in through my door, it would all go back to them. 2 weeks later, my sister-in-law calls my husband and tells him that she was so sorry and she personally wanted to come to my house and apologize to my face and that she felt so bad. So my husband, fell for it, and he was like, okay, yes, come over. She comes over, sits down in my living room, and is crying and apologizing. I just told her, you know what? All right, I forgive you, but I don't want to be around you. And when I said that, she got on her knees and she started hugging my legs, and she was like, no, please don't do this. Please don't keep me away from you guys. I love you guys. So my husband was like, no, you're welcome here whenever you want. When she left, I got into an argument with my husband, and I was like, no, you're not going to see your sister in my home. You can see her somewhere else. So last week I was at home minding my own business, and my husband calls me and he's crying, and he tells me that his sister passed away. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. How did she pass? What happened? He told me she had an asthma attack and literally just stopped breathing. I was completely shocked. I was like, oh my. So we ended up having her funeral services. I asked my mom to go with me for moral support, and we mainly stayed in the back because I knew I was not her favorite person, During the service, my mom had to go to the restroom, and I decided to go with her. As we're walking to the restroom, in walks in this very old man, and he has a hunchback. And he comes in in a robe with a black hoodie on, and he tells me, hey, he's waving me down. I didn't know him. My mom didn't know him, so I was like, who the hell? The old man then tells me that the person in the casket tried to take away my air, but the hex was reversed, and her air was taken from her. He said something protected me and reversed the hex from me. He then just walks away and leaves. So me and my mom are so shocked because leading up to her death, I was feeling so sick. And it came to my mind how at nighttime I felt like people were choking me, and I mean choking me. I couldn't breathe. And my mom said it was reversed because of the necklace the guy gave you. The guy said, the person that gave you the bad energy, once they would walk through your door, everything would go to that person. And she was like, and it went straight to her. Now I'm really shocked and confused, and I'm just feel guilty because she's passed and all of these things happen. I don't know what to believe. Thank you to the person that sent in the story. If you guys have any similar stories that you guys want to share, please send me a message.
I was hexed at 11 years old by a woman in the church that was jealous of my mother. My father was a minister and my mother was very spiritual, and people did not believe that my mother and father should have been together because they believed my mother was a witch, which is ironic, right? My father had an appreciation, and the food that was prepared for everyone, I took one bite and I fell ill immediately to the point where I had to go lay in the backseat of my father's car. That moment led to me being paralyzed from the neck down and a 3-month hospital stay. I never received a formal diagnosis, and I was told from the doctor that I would never walk again. Like any loving parents, my mother and father were willing to try anything, and they were looking for answers, and that led them to Malidoma Some. At that point, we had given up on modern medicine, and we had began to fight a spiritual war that included spiritual baths and ritual. Within 30 days, I had taught myself how to walk again. And I'm not saying it like I'm just, no, by the grace of God. I regained strength in my limbs after being told that it would not happen and that I was sent home in a pink wheelchair, and they gave me a walker, and that was pretty much it. I made a full recovery. I moved on with my life, went back to school like nothing happened. But every so often, I think about that and how those same church folks would accuse me of being a witch and practicing witchcraft. But I was hexed by a woman in the church. Just, blows my mind a little bit. All right, this is part 2 of me being hexed at 11. I got my mom with me as my proof. This was the day that it happened. This is what I had on. This is my brother standing next to me, and we're in front of the building that my father's appreciation was at. So what was that like for you as far as because my mom did not come. Now, we just had this conversation, and I'm like, well, you didn't come because they were jealous of you. Like, she didn't come to this, whatever. So how did you process everything that was happening, and what did it look like from your perspective, when I first came home that day, and from there?
Well, when you first came home, I just thought maybe it could have been food poisoning or anything like that. You just laid down and really appeared not to have any energy or anything like that. We had a rule in the house that if you were sick longer than 3 days, then you had to go to the doctor, find out what's going on. So after the 3rd day, you were still laying down on the couch. And so I told her, I said, well, we're going to have to do something. You're going to have to go to the doctor. So I tried to pick you up because you didn't have any energy.
And look how small I was, y'all.
And I don't even think if you were 100 pounds, I don't know. I think you wore a size 0 in pants. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't pick you up because you were dead weight. So I asked my niece to help me pick you up. And between the 2 of us adults, we couldn't pick you up. So I was like, well, I don't have any other choice but to call 911. So I had to call EMS. All sorts of tests, and they couldn't find anything, couldn't figure out why you stopped walking. I think you were in the hospital from September because school had just started. I'm not for sure. Did you go the first day of school?
I think so.
Maybe the first day of school, yeah, so that you knew your class and your teachers.
Yeah, because they came to visit me.
Right, and Your walker
Okay.
and refused to use it too.
Yeah, because I didn't want no walker. It had a
Okay.
picture of old people on it.
Okay,
So
you
how
wanna
did you
ask
come to
me?
the conclusion that, how did you get in contact with the African healers?
Because everybody in the community knew me, and they knew that you were sick, and I was requesting prayer, and Mama Amina got in contact with some healers. A lot of people got in contact with healers and preachers that, you know, prayed, and they said that some of the healers said that it was something spiritual, and that was something I put in the water. Let me see.
I know they're going to ask what it is, so.
It was something that they hired this man to make to clean the water for the
But
people.
what I do remember, though, is every time I took a bath, I got a little bit better.
Yep, you did.
Every time I took a bath, I got a little bit stronger. And we kept doing it. They kept putting me in this bath, and I was getting better as time was going on.
And they would bring, the doctors would come, and it would be scratches all over your
I forgot about that.
stomach and
Yes,
your
my
back.
whole body would be scratched up. I would go to bed, I would go to sleep, and I would have the most crazy dreams. Oh my God, so vivid. And then I would wake up and it would look like somebody attacked me in my dreams. Like I would wake up with welts all over my face and all over my body.
And your back and your stomach.
Mind you, I'm not moving. Like I'm paralyzed, neck down, not moving none. And I would wake up with these welts all over me. It was crazy.
And then you would have lines. It was red lines under your eyes, like eye line in red. And they said that was one of the symptoms of lupus, and that's why they tested you for lupus. You didn't have lupus. Then they said it could have been, I believe it was the Lou Gehrig's disease, because you couldn't walk. And that didn't pan out. What else did we do? So the rotting is, it is these vials that the lady had. It has like different electromagnetic fields in it. And
Is this like Reiki?
It's something like Reiki, but it's a vial. They used to teach it in college. They just stopped doing it. So she was asking. Well, she did it on the phone. Normally, she'll it's like done in person with the vial. So I called her, and she said that she would try it. She's not for sure how it would work. So me and Mama Hanifa, we were there, made the phone call, and she was doing the rotting procedure, and all of a sudden this lightning came from, shot through the window to the phone.
Lord,
And you could actually see it.
Oh my God. Okay, y'all, that's enough for today.
And another thing I want to talk about is this just a story time of how I found out my ex-boyfriend and his family were doing witchcraft on me. So I found out, I was very, first of all, I made a new TikTok and like tarot readers came up. And that's the first time I ever heard about tarot cards, anything. It was like God sent that to me so I could wake the fuck up because I had no idea what was going on around me. So when I started listening more and more, stuff started to click for me. Like they were like, be careful what you're saying to your significant other during like intimate times. And I was like, holy crap. I remember like now I see why he wanted me to say those things and things like that. And then it just like got deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm like, holy crap, this is everything my life has been for like a while. And then I remembered one time that we gave our clothes to his mom and his aunt to wash our clothes because we didn't have a washer and dryer in my apartment complex that I was paying for. He didn't pay for shit. For the people who thought he was paid for something, he paid for the last month of rent and then financially abused me and told me that I need to pay him back for that, even though he was living rent free. And he didn't pay for anything. Barely anything. Let's clear that up. And we gave them our clothes to wash, and tell me why. I go through our clothes and I'm looking at him, I'm like, where the fuck are my period panties? Where are my period panties? So his aunt and his mom and whoever else took my panties, my period panties, because they had blood in them, and my hair. Like, they were taking my hair to do God knows fucking what. These people are fucking weird. And if you're watching this, you're fucking weird. Your mom, your aunt, everybody, you're all weird. And your stepdad, you're weird. Like, you're weird. You're weird. Just be aware, ladies, like, please do your research on witchcraft and enlighten yourself about, like, the dark side and what people are that think they're God are capable of, because in the end, God will show up like he did my situation. And if you know, you know. And bitch, if you want to do that again, then we can do that again. But I really don't think you want to. So mind your business and stay in your place. Some things are just hidden in plain sight. And sometimes you just have to play around until you hit so hard, and then all that shit tenfold come right back to you. So, love you.
Back with another storytime submission. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Please note that I am reading somebody else's story. This is not my story. Someone submitted their story to be shared. Let's begin. I debated on submitting my story because I know a lot of people are against black magic. I feel like in my case, though, it was justified. And before people start with the religious talk in the comments, save it. Before you judge me, make sure you are living a pure life. Hold on. She said what she said. Man, I'm just a messenger. But anyway, both my husband and I immigrated to the U.S. from West Africa in our teens. We met in our early 20s and got married when I turned 26. 13 years and 3 kids later, we're in the process of finalizing our divorce. Black magic. Finalizing divorce. I'm sorry, man. It's giving chuck. It's giving chuck. But back to the story. When I was 37, I found out that my husband had been having an affair with a woman he worked with and that it had been going on for 2 years. You can imagine how I felt after finding this out. Of course, it led to a huge argument. Trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. An argument that ended with me getting dragged by my braids. It was in that moment that I was like, that's it. So I packed our bags. Me and my kids went to go stay with my sister. He apologized and kept begging and pleading, but I was not budging. After a few days, the kids went back home, but I stayed with my sister. When my husband would go to work, I would go to the house and take care of the kids' needs, but I would always make sure that I was out of the house before he got back in. For a while, he respected the boundary, but then one day he came home early unannounced. When I asked him what was going on, he said he wanted to talk. Again, he begged and pleaded and asked what he could do to get me back. I kept saying nothing, and eventually he was like, I promise you that you'll come back to me and continue being the wife I have always known that you can be. At that time, I didn't think nothing of it. But oddly enough, it happened just like he said. A few months after, we were back together, but what was weird was that I felt like I could not say no to him, which was very strange. Not like I couldn't say the words no, but like I would always end up giving in to his will. Fast forward one day when his phone was ringing and I saw that it was his mom and I picked it up. I don't know what came over me because any other time I would even look twice at the phone knowing that it was his mom, let alone picking up that call. So basically, there's some drama with the mom. Okay, let's keep going. Some background. I did not have a close relationship with my husband's mother, as my husband told me that she did not like me and felt like that me and my family were beneath them. So outside of checking in here and there, sending pictures of the kids and attending things when I was invited, I kept my distance. Alrighty, time is running out. I will see y'all on part 2. Alrighty, back. Part 2 of my husband put black magic on me. I found out, flipped it, and reversed it. Now, with that information in mind, you can imagine just how awkward the beginning of that conversation was. But picking up that call was probably one of the best decisions I've made because it revealed so much to me. Turns out that the woman that my husband was having an affair with was one of 4 other women. I was beyond disgusted and instantly started feeling sick. She went on to tell me about how my husband told her that I did not like her and that I felt like him and his family were beneath my own. But because I loved my husband, I was willing to look past his family, even though I was still talking down about them. And just like me, his mother too decided to keep her distance. His mother also shared that he had put some black magic on me to keep me from leaving him. Now, I know some people are going to say there's no way I did not see things, but honestly speaking, I never had a clue until I did. She quickly told me to jot down her number and call her when I was alone, erase the call, and not to mention the conversation to her son, aka my husband. I was skeptical at first, but I did everything that she asked. 2 weeks after her and I spoke for the first time, I was on a plane back home to spend some time with her. She got a separate place for us. That way family members would not tell my husband that I was hanging out with his mom. That would instantly raise red flags. Now, I did tell my husband I was traveling back home, but I told him I was there to spend time with my own family, which I did to a certain extent. One of the days I was in town, his mother took me to go see this guy who practices black magic. Turns out it was the same guy that my husband had used. Apparently my mother-in-law was against some of the things that he was doing, but never felt like she could say anything to me given our non-existent relationship. As she had been watching him for years, she knew exactly what he was doing and who he was going to. Hey, yalla. Let's keep going. Me and my mother-in-law and the guy start talking, and the guy confirms what my mother-in-law said. Still skeptical, I paid a guy and he's supposed to do something for me where I'll be able to regain my free will against my husband. Just like some of y'all are thinking now, I was like, ain't no way. After that, I wrap up my business in country and I head back. When I got home to my husband, things felt different. A lot of things I previously tolerated without batting an eye were beginning to aggravate me because everything was really appearing to me clearly that it was one-sided. Something I really hadn't been thinking about in a while. Like, I just did it. Like, it was almost like I was on autopilot. Now, keep in mind, we both worked and contributed to the bills, but he provided no help around the house or with the kids. A few months after coming back from my visit back home, I caught my husband cheating yet again. And because I had caught him in the past and came back to him, he was convinced this would be the same as the last time. Little did he know that with his mother's help, I had cleansed myself of the invisible black magic shackles he had put on me. For the next few days, I played his game until he went to work, making him believe he was in control. The following week, I spoke to a few lawyers to understand my options, eventually going with one. A few weeks later, he moved out, leaving the house to me and the kids. But those few weeks before he left were hell on earth. After catching him trying to sprinkle some sort of dust over me in my sleep, sleeping at night became a struggle. So I would wait for him to go to work during the day, and that's when I would sleep. Seeing him move out was the first time in a long time that I felt like I could breathe again since this entire ordeal started. His mom ends up moving in with us to help me with the kids while I work, as my mother was quite elderly. Her and I have grown very close over the last couple of months. Now that the divorce is just about finalized and I'm in a much more stable situation, my ex-mother-in-law will be traveling back home and the nanny that she has been helping me train will take over. Now, I know that not everyone believes in this, but in my situation, I genuinely believe that it saved me.
So y'all, take this video serious. Make sure y'all share. Make sure you repost. Make sure you follow or whatever. But definitely repost this video and share it with somebody, because witchcraft, black magic, sorcery, voodoo, hoodoo, hexes and curses and spells, all of it is real, but it cannot overpower women and men of God. The true army of Christ, it can't overpower us. But God told us the weapons may form, but he said they will not prosper against us. So this video will consist of some things that happened to me in my life for real. I just experienced some stuff on the 4th of July. You have to be careful who you accept gifts and food and all type of stuff from, because people be out to delay you. People be out to stop you. People be out to swap destinies with you. People be out so you can't fulfill your purpose. People can see you before you even can see yourself to know where you headed. You understand? The devil knows your purpose and your destiny, so he will use anything and anybody to try to stop you. I received food from people close to me, and immediately I heard the Holy Spirit say, do not receive the food, do not eat the food. And oh my Lord, that's what you get. I get, I'm talking about, but that's what comes to anybody who don't listen. I got my own self sent with witchcraft upon me. It's broken. Thank you, Jesus. Them spirits went out the door. As I prayed it out the door, weird stuff started to happen. The same day, my stomach started hurting. My kids' stomach started hurting. Stuff just started going crazy. We had to use the bathroom so much. Right here started feeling like it's on this same day after I heard the Lord. And I don't disobey God too much, but bro, when you rarely have a soul food cooked meal, it's just like, okay, but please let your spirit outweigh your flesh. Let your obedience outweigh your disobedience, because you'll have to pay for it. And I had to pay for it for like these last 3 to 4 days. So, man, I'm telling y'all, stuff started happening. I started hearing stuff and cries and stuff in the spirit that I ain't never heard before. I can feel something laying beside me, breathing on the left side of my face and everything. I couldn't go to sleep. My body was getting attacked. It was horrible. And I know where it came from. I know where it was sent from. But see, certain things God will allow to happen so you can know who is doing these things, who is sending these attacks towards you. So you have to be careful. When we was in Florida, I dealt with black magic. I tell you, the forces of evil are strong, but it cannot overpower us, because we trample over lions and serpents and crush fierce lions and serpents under our feet. We have the authority over the enemy. The enemy will not triumph over the people of God. See, if you don't know God, if you don't have a relationship with God, you cannot fight these things physically. You have to fight these things in spirit, in truth, with the word of God. That's the only way you're going to be able to beat it, is with the word of God. People be saying, go see a spiritualist. Go see this. No. You use the word of God. You get some real, true sisters and brothers in Christ to pray for you while you waging war against hell in this place by yourself. Okay? Spiritualists ain't right either. Spiritualists ain't God and Jesus people either, y'all. So you have to be careful who you go see. Y'all got to be careful about getting these readings. Y'all got to be careful about who you watch and all of this stuff, unless God gives you the permission to watch people, like he been giving me the permission to watch certain things, so that we can learn the strategy of the enemy. In order to learn the ways to beat them, you got to know the enemy. You got to know what they do. You got to know how they do it, so you'll know how to move. So whatever the Lord instructs you to do on the thing, that's what you do. But that black magic, it made me feel like I couldn't even get up. Yeah, I could barely lift a leg. All I could do is declare Psalm 91. And I had that memorized in my heart every day and every night throughout the day. I'm saying it in spirit, because the enemy will not kill me. I ain't fought this hard to lose. I don't care what it may look like to other people, what I'm going through and dealing with. It's for the kingdom of God. And I'm going to endure to the end in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. But it's not a joke. People think because God has all power that he gave the enemy power over this world. So, if God is strategic in these times we living in, the enemy is even more strategic than he has ever been towards you. Every time you elevate and go up, he's going to send bigger demons. I was seeing the images of these things. I'm looking at them. I'm feeling them. And my son, after I prayed through this room, anointed every window, mirror, TV, everything in this room. I anointed everything. I declared it out of here. You can't live here. You ain't welcome here. You got to get out of here right now, today, in the name of Jesus. And my son seen the black object fly over my head and go out the door, y'all. I'm telling you, children can see. Even in this time for me going through these things for these 3 to 4 days, my children were having dreams about them being possessed and all type of things. Like they was messing with my kids. They were seeing shape-shifting spirits and everything. One thing about my children, they see. I'm so glad and thankful we went through this for Christ, went through the struggle, because this is what built us in the Lord. I don't care what nobody say about us. This is what built us. So to God be the glory. Let's get to these scriptures. The first scripture is Exodus 22:18, where it says, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." Witches they were not able to live back then. They were stoned to death because their blood was on their own heads, because they went against God. I don't care about nobody saying they're a good witch, they're a white witch, they're a black witch, whatever type of witch. A witch is a witch, and it's against God.
So people be trying to compromise the word of God and make it sound good and feel good, but these witches be in groups because that's how the enemy run. He send numerous of demons after one person because that's how powerful and authoritative you are in the heavenly realms. Leviticus 19:31 says, "Do not turn to mediums or seek out spiritists, for you will be defiled by them." He says, "I am the Lord your God," meaning you don't need to go seek nobody but him. Everything you need to know, if you got a relationship, he gonna tell you. Even if it's not in his word, he gonna show you great and mighty things that you did not know because you seeked him first in his kingdom and his righteousness. So he was gonna reveal everything to you that you need to know. You don't need to go to get no readings, no palm readings, no none of these stuff. Leviticus 20 chapter 20 verse 27 says, "A man or woman who is a medium or spiritist among you must be put to death. You are to stone them. Their blood will be on their own heads." We won't be responsible. God has no mercy nor no grace for anything that's against him and that's attacking his people and the destiny that he set ahead for his people. You think God ain't gonna get y'all for that? If y'all watching this, you witches, you warlocks, you spiritists, all y'all spell workers, if y'all watching this, turn away. Repent right now. Because the kingdom of God is at hand. His wrath is here and you don't want to feel it. Every spell that you cast comes back to sender to the altars of hell that they came from, them altars y'all be at. God don't play about his people and he honor his word. Galatians 19:21 says, "When you follow the desires of your sinful nature, the results are very clear. Sexual immorality, impurity, lustful pleasures, idolatry, sorcery, hostility, quarreling, jealousy, outbursts of anger, selfish ambition, dissension and division, envy, drunkenness, wild parties, and other sins like these." He said, "Let me tell you again, as I have before, that anyone living that sort of life will not inherit the kingdom of God." God is telling you right now, you will not inherit his kingdom. And the devil ain't going to share his kingdom with nobody because at the end of the day, him and his demons going to get thrown in the lake of fire too. Micah 5:10-12 says, "In that day says the Lord, I will slaughter your horses and destroy your chariots. I will tear down your walls and demolish your defenses, and I will put an end to all witchcraft, and there will be no more fortune tellers." There will be no more fortune tellers. There will be no more spellcasters. God said he's going to put an end to all your witchcraft. He's putting an end to it because you confusing his people. Some people have went to witchcraft and all these things because the church hurt. Because they wonder, like, okay, if Christian life ain't it, then this got to be it. And God is going to destroy every church that ever led his children astray. Because a lot of you were gifted, but you're using your gifts wrongfully against God. And he's not pleased with that. It's going to be a part 2 because I'm not finished with the scriptures, or either I'm going to go live. But make sure y'all share and repost this video in the mighty name of Jesus. I love you guys and God bless you. In the name of Jesus. Turn from evil. Repent, repent, repent. This will cost you your life.
In a thick rag. Put in a rag kind of thick. And hold the water, the glass on top of your head with the rag on top of the glass. And then it bubble. It don't come out of the glass. You understand? You put a rag thick enough under that glass. When you turn it over, it don't come out the glass. The water stay in the glass. And then it boils. And when it stop boil, that water stop boil when your sunstroke done left. Okay? I get called from everybody sometimes. I solve people's trouble. I pray for them.
It's a broad road. You find the truckers there. You find the peasants there. You find the
Spirit talk to me. And they try to tell me something, but I can't make out what they're saying. Blah, 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 blah.
What's the name wrong with that? It's a narrow road. And Jesus says, there few there be that walked on that road.
I work with the spirit all the time. I work with the spirit all the time. I don't ever do nothing unless I talk to the Lord.
A lot of y'all have roots put on you and you don't even know it. Like, a lot of y'all get hexed and don't even know it. And one of the biggest ways, though, when we're talking about root work specifically, one of the biggest ways you can tell there's a root on you is when you've been loving something, you've been wanting to do it forever, and then you start succeeding in it, and you automatically lose the inspiration to keep doing what you're succeeding at. Because let's say you're a nail tech and you've been doing great, and now, you know, you're working with celebrities, and then out of nowhere you just get the urge to stop. You don't want to do the work no more. That's scary, because that's your money, that's your business. Somebody don't want you to succeed. That's a root. A root could be as easy as simply preventing you from doing what you need to do to succeed in life. Now, there's a lot of ways to break roots. Personally, for me, culturally, there's a lot of ways that in my family tradition we break roots. I've seen it work, especially when you're utilizing things like rapé or different forms of plant medicine like bufo. I think a lot of people forget that plant medicine is a great way to break curses, to break roots, to break, like, yo, don't get the drum out, because once you get the drum out and you get that medicine in your system, whatever's there, I promise you, woo, it goes away. But there's also, like, you also go to a root worker and you let a root worker take the roots off of you. But I'm not really trying to get into that. I'm just trying to say that a lot of y'all need to be careful, because sometimes you think that you're taking a self-care break, but that self-care break is somebody putting roots on you, and it's disguised to you as self-care. And then other people around you are like, well, yeah, that's self-care, you've been working hard. It's not self-care, it's a root. So definitely, you know, realign your situation and do things. One of the biggest things that I like to do as well, though, to just protect me from stuff, I love making my homemade Flora de Agua. Like, I love making my own Florida water. I put a lot of stuff in my Florida water that people don't even think to put in their Florida water. And let me tell you something, and you take that blue bath, you take that Florida water, you take that baño, you'll be good. You'll be good. But I'm just saying this because, again, a lot of y'all don't even realize that you're being worked on. So, okay?
Okay. So, I'm here today with?
No.
So, what's the craziest thing that you've seen or done?
Black magic.
So, what happened? Like, how'd it happen?
Grass Lake.
What happened?
Grass Lake.
Grass Lake?
Yeah, don't go out there.
Really? Why?
There's a racist out there.
There's a what?
The racist, yeah.
The racist?
Yeah. From Page Avenue all the way to Great Tower Road, you worship the devil out there.
What?
Yeah. You got me involved with it and jerking me off.
We are not involved. So what all went down? Like, did they, like, cast this, you know, thing about, like, them casting a spell?
Yeah, they cast spells on you.
They do?
Yeah.
on you?
Yeah.
Did you get cleansed?
Yeah.
Good. What happened to you after that? Did anything, like, actually bad happen?
Yeah, a lot of things. I was forced to show myself on the streets.
You what?
Forced to show myself on the streets.
You got forced on the tree?
Street.
Oh, on the street.
Yeah.
Oh.
I live on the street. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
So that's all from the black magic?
Mm-hmm. They'll catch you with a sun and jerk you into their little schemes and scams, and they get you involved, and they'll kick you out and you won't get you back till whenever they feel like it. It's kind of spooky out there.
My uncle was at church and he knew that nun was practicing dark magic and he did not want to look at her. This story takes place in Zacatecas, Mexico. When my uncle was a kid, he was never a believer of the paranormal. That all changed when he encountered witches, brujas, at night. So one night they go out exploring the countryside of the town. And when they make it up to a hill at night, they could see some figures from far. And they were standing in a circle. My uncle and his friends were just watching, just seeing what was going on. And being kids, they quietly walked to get a better look. And out of nowhere, fire erupted in the middle of the circle. It was so bright that my uncle could see the faces of the people. They were wearing all black and they were all females. And my uncle recognized one of them. I know that person. She's a nun at that church. My Theo uncle says that there were 5 of them in a circle, and in the middle there was fire, and they were holding hands. My uncle heard them singing, and out of nowhere, these witches, their head turns and looks directly towards the kids. And my uncle and his friends were like, yo, vámonos, no mames. And they run towards back home. My uncle knew the secret that that lady, that nun was a witch at night. Follow for more paranormal stories.
Another scary story, and this one comes from Punjab, India. So I was only 10 years old, and my dad used to have a very good business in Dubai. So he would be working in Dubai and we were in India, and he would send us money. So we started building our new house. In our house, there were 4 people: my grandfather, my mom, and my 2-year-old and 5-year-old brothers. So we started to build the new house, but all of a sudden, my dad started to stay ill. So he ended up losing his business and had to start working in another company with very little pay salary. So our house was built but not properly. Like, it was fine for shelter, but we had to stop the work due to the lack of funds, and we ended up moving into the house. I slept by my mom, but my brother slept next to her as they were smaller and they needed her more. I was sleeping when suddenly my blanket fell down and I saw a lady in my dream. She was wearing all white, like a white dress, and she had 2 big teeth like Dracula, saying, "You all are going to have a bad time. I will never let you live happily." And she was laughing, like hysterically laughing, a very creepy laugh. And then she scratched me on my face. I thought I was dreaming, but when I suddenly opened my eyes, with terror in my eyes, I saw my blanket. It was in front of the door, as I saw it in my dreams. And in the morning, there were some scratches on my face as well. Like, I wasn't dreaming. It was happening for real. You won't believe the words that the lady said. They actually became our reality. In a year, my grandfather got so sick with cancer that he passed away. And then my dad came back and couldn't go back to Dubai because he got so sick and was disabled and couldn't work anymore. And very shortly after, my dad passed away at the age of 52. And now at 53, my mom has kidney failure and is also not going to make it. We've come to know now, after many years, that someone had done really bad black magic on us and destroyed everything in my family. Nothing can be changed now, as everyone is almost passed away. Oh my God, that's so sad. Like, what do you do when someone has done black magic on you and you don't even know and everything's just going bad? Like, shoot, man, that's so scary. Oh my God, I hope, their family's okay. Anyway, send me more, guys. These are so good.
Good morning, brats. I'm back with another video, and I had to drop this one because if y'all are following me, that means y'all are similar to my energy. And this really needs to be told because this is some crazy stuff going down in the spiritual community. And baby, it goes deeper than what I ever thought it could. I learned some information last night that blew my freaking mind. Okay, so there is this popular YouTuber, okay? She's a tarot reader on YouTube. Absolutely loved her videos. In fact, when I first got into spirituality and started learning about tarot and going deeper into hermetics and astrology and numerology and stuff, she's basically the one that kind of guided me because she broke it down in a way that was easily understood, and she was doing it through tarot. So all while she was teaching me that, she was telling me what was going on and what steps I needed to take in my life. Sounds all good and dandy, right? Well, when I originally started watching this tarot reader, it was just something that it just drew me to her. I almost to the point where I became obsessed with watching her every day, waking up, couldn't wait for a video when she didn't drop videos. My anxiety was high. It's I needed to see what was next. Shortly after I started watching this tarot reader, I noticed that my life went for the biggest turn that it could have ever went in. I would have never prepared or expected this to happen. And truthfully, I didn't correlate the two. I didn't think that my life was doing what it was doing because of me watching the readings or even connecting with this person's energy. Now, I'm going to continue with the story, but I'm telling y'all this because, for starters, we've really got to be careful who we open up our energy to, who we watch, who we're allowing to speak things over our life, because you never know what the freak is really going on. All right, now back to the story. There may have to be a part 2 to this, or maybe even 3 or 4. I don't know, because it's going to be kind of long, and I want to give you a breakdown on everything that happened. So maybe you can see the signs and you know what to do, or you know how to avoid certain things, or you at least know what's going on in your life, because it basically took me by storm. And if it wasn't for me meeting this girl, I would have never found out what was going on. So we're going to start off like this. I had a dream about this tarot reader. She okay, so it went something like this. So I was in a hotel and I was sitting down and there was a laptop in front of me and I was watching this tarot readers YouTube channel, and all of a sudden I hear something like sounds like something scraping the floor coming towards the doors of the hotel lobby. Now mind you, it's empty, there's nothing but a desk there and a chair and like this laptop, and I see somebody coming with hella bags. Lo and behold, it was this tarot reader. She comes in with all these bags. She walks up to me, and I remember she'd asked me a couple of questions, and I know she wanted me to come upstairs with her. I remember her reaching in to kiss me, and I declined this kiss. I was just like, I'm good. I'm good. Stay tuned for part 2.
So let's finish talking about it. And y'all, I am a crier, so I'm a Pisces, okay? Filled with water. So y'all gonna judge me anyway. I don't care. It is what it is. But y'all know my emotions are real. So I just want y'all to understand that there's nothing fake about me sharing my story, sharing my life, sharing my information. This is authentic. You can see it in my eyes. Okay, so as I was saying, so I didn't expect to go down this deep rabbit hole. I didn't know how far down it would go. But I ended up becoming friends with this lady, this woman, who was very close to some of the same people that I'm going to mention in this video. Now, I don't want to say her name because it started with her initially, but she wasn't the one who hexed me, but it did start with her. Now, it wasn't until I got with her that I was introduced into black magic, or I was introduced into, magic of the occult or anything like that. It wasn't until speaking to her, becoming friends with her, that I knew about it, because she would get into arguments with different people and she would speak about how she's going to put people in the freezer, and it was just all type of things, that's crazy things that she would talk about. I'm going to put protection spells on you guys, and it was crazy. Well, come to find out, all of these people that was portraying the life that they was living online, it was false. Nothing of the life that they lived online was truly the life that they lived in real life. And it didn't hit me until I actually had my first interaction with young Pharaoh. And see, that's when I started to fall back. And at first, I was kind of afraid to actually voice to the collective, to the people out there that was supporting him, to tell them exactly who this person was in real life, because first, I didn't think nobody would believe me because he was so highly respected and so highly loved. And then second, I was like, it's none of my business. Eventually, he's going to show himself. People are going to see him for who he is, just the same way that I did. So I'm just going to let it go and I'm going to fall back. But something was compelling me to talk about it. Something was compelling me to speak the truth and say, listen, y'all, stop listening to these people that y'all are out here watching. At least if you're listening to their messages, that's fine. Because I know that some people have good messages, but the person themselves could be tainted. And that's okay. But separate the message from the teacher, because these people are not the people that you think that they are. They're not living the same type of life that they're telling you guys or forcing you guys to live. And they don't mean what they say. They're not genuine. It's just about finding the information that they have access to, because you don't have that access to every day. You work, you struggle, you stress, and you don't have time to actually go and access books and all this type of articles and stuff like that to compile everything to put together. They have the time to do this. So just take the message, take what resonates, and leave the rest.
I know a lot of y'all are seeing my other video, but I'm back, okay? I'm back in town. I'm back home. Anyways, let's get down to business, okay? So I had a client who came to me for some love work, and I was like, okay, we did a consultation, we had a little conversation. I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna do another reading before I start your work, or whatever the case may be, so we can come up with a solution and a price. It just did not sit well with me for a couple days. What's up, TikTok? Okay, now go to bed. Good night. Okay, so she had a lot of bad energy on her. And I was like, I gotta read her energy. I don't know what's going on, but something don't sit right in my spirit about this girl. So I pulled some cards. And I was like, ugh, this looks really bad. And I was like, you know, and I had done a reading right before that. So I was like, maybe I need to clear off the energy. So I reshuffled the cards. I did my prayers. And I actually printed her photo out. And I was like, okay, I'm going to reread her. I'm going to clear out the energy. It was still bad. And I was like, all right, I'm going to take out my tarot cards. And I'm just going to check on the energy. You know, just to check on things. Because this looks really, really bad. And I pulled the cards out. And I was like, oh, okay. All right. I got to call this girl. So I hit her up and I started asking her questions. I was like, yo, I know you want some love work, but we won't have to talk about your energy. This girl had no idea that she had death spells. Death was knocking on her door. And not because it was her time either. So somebody had in her family, or where her hometown is, because she's international. So somebody had put some work on her dad. And you know how that is. When people throw work on somebody, if it doesn't hit you, it goes to somebody else who is not spiritually as protected. So I told her, hey, I know you've been having some dreams because you're a very spiritual person. I saw that in your reading. You have some severe mental issues, some severe blockages. You have really bad dreams. So, and I asked her questions about her mental health, and I asked her questions about her dreams. And I was like, are you getting attacked in your dreams? She's like, how the hell did you know that? So I'm describing a lot of things that she's going through with the dreams, being attacked in her dreams, everything in her life being blocked, her love life, her money, her success. And then she was like, oh yeah, by the way, I had a conversation with my dad a while ago. He told me not to eat from nobody. I was like, your dad did not tell you the details of what's going on with you? So I told her, you need to call your dad and you need to go see a priest immediately. Now this person is located in Belgium. And I was like, you need to find a practitioner ASAP. Because you need to do a cleansing to remove all the crap that's on you right now, immediately. And I told her the work will manifest after you get rid of whatever you got going on. Will manifest when the time comes, and I will, you know, if I need to touch upon it, I will. But in the meantime, you need to get that stuff off of you immediately. It's making you sick. It's draining you. And it could get worse.
I'm going to keep it real with you. You can always tell if somebody put a curse or a hex on you. Just look at your relationships. If you're with someone and your man or woman just all of a sudden leaves you and switches up on you and shit, you don't even know who they are anymore, that's a sign that somebody's putting a hex on you. You see, or your partner ends up with somebody else that you know they don't really like, and you're like, what the fuck just happened right there? Somebody probably put a hex on you. Or you're having health issues, anxiety, depression, you're feeling alone and all that, lack of self-esteem, lack of confidence. All this stuff are signs that someone's putting a hex on you or your relationship. And I really suggest that you get some work done. Take the time to invest in yourself, invest in your relationship, and you know, you'll see things change quickly. So hit me up, DM me, WhatsApp, email me, and let's get some work done.
Yes. Hey, my beautiful people. Let's talk about it. What the blood clot? Wanna bumble with the bee, huh? Bzz, throw a hex on the whole family. Dressing all black like the omen. So, why are we knocking on graves? Why are we knocking on graves? You do not need to knock on a grave to wake the dead. Hello, afterlife, they're woke. If you knock, what does that mean? You want to come in. Okay, so there are people who do not rest in peace. There are people who love company. And if you come knocking, you're letting them know that you want to come in. See, all individuals who don't rest in peace, they can mind their business. Not everybody is haunted by somebody. But if you let them know you want something, they're going to give you what you want. So when you leave that gravesite or that cemetery, okay, possession, your body hurting, you can't think for yourself. Why? Because you knocked on that grave. So not only did they let you in, you let them in. Y'all keep playing. I do this for a living. I remove this from people for a living. People go years with these spirits on them because they went in that cemetery and that graveyard playing. Grief is one thing, but don't hex yourself because you're so vulnerable with grief. Hey, my beautiful people. Let's talk about it.
Story time about the time a new friend tried to hex me. For starters, I literally did not know this girl. She found me on Instagram and she just started responding to everything I posted on my story, liking all of my stories, liking all of my pictures, and commenting on all of my pictures. It was a little bit unsettling, but I honestly just tried to look at it as genuine support. So some time goes by, and at this point, we're literally just mutuals. At this point, we're showing each other's pages love, sending each other DMs, blah, blah, blah. So one day she finally texts me and she's like, hey girl, I don't know why we're not friends. I don't know why we're not connected. Give me your number. Let me hit you up off this app, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, sure, why not? So she gets my number, and right off the bat, she's texting me all the time. She wants to FaceTime all the time. And she starts texting me a lot, but keeping up the same stuff that she was doing on my Instagram. So at this point, I was kind of okay, this is a lot. So one day on FaceTime, she told me about this demonic slug is what she called it, about how one day she was tripping and she was with someone else that she used to date, and they just basically were around this person that they couldn't trust. The energy was really weird, and she said that she was seeing things, and amongst her tripping, she saw what looked like a slug, literally slide through the house. Now, at the time, I was just listening to this and I was like, ooh, this is interesting. I have had so many supernatural experiences. Anything you tell me, I will believe. There's a chance that anything and everything could happen. So I didn't think too deep into her story, and I just went about life as normal. Now, one day, and this is where the creepy stuff starts, I was asleep and I had a lucid dream. In this dream, there was a slug. This slug had her face, and it was I can remember exactly what it looked like in my mind's eye. It was right in front of my doorway, and it was her head on the body of a slug, and it was sliding back and forth, kind of like how a snake does, right? And I was completely asleep at this point in time, right? And so out of nowhere, the slug stops doing this and it charges me, okay? And immediately as it charges me, I wake up. So I know at this point in my life that I'm divinely protected, but I also know that whatever this was sent to me by her. It literally had her face, okay? That combined with the obsessive way that she kind of sought me out. I feel like she was looking for me, and then she was persistent about getting my attention. None of it made sense, but for part 2. Story time about the time a new friend.
So I've been at spiritual warfare with my baby daddy for the past, I say at least 10 years. It's probably more than that, but yeah. We was together for 11 years, which was dumb as fuck. I was young and dumb. We have 2 children, beautiful boy and a girl. And yeah, just a little backstory. The first thing that occurred was he tried to use, he didn't, I ain't gonna say try, he did use one of my children against me. And people would do that, know that. I'm a living witness. The school was calling me damn near every fucking day about my son. And that is abnormal as fuck. If you have spiritual eyes, you can see through the bullshit. So just so happened at this time I was dating a Jamaican, and I asked him what I needed to do, and he told me what I needed to do. I had to get this particular oil, put a drop in the 4 corners of my house, and he said if he's using one of your children against you, you would notice, because that child gonna start acting strange. So I did that on a Saturday, I'll never forget. And I did it about 4:30. Went to my mama's house, standing on the front porch, smoking a cigarette. My son is about 7 years old at this time. And he came around there. This is the same day I did them drops, and he came around up to the front porch and he said, Mom, I was hallucinating. What? So the first thing in my mind is like, what the fuck you know about hallucinating? You 7 years old. Oh, but I'm like, I ain't this in my mind. So I'm like, what you mean? He said, I was just behind grandma's house and I seen this man standing over there by the bushes with a chainsaw. I said, well, did he see you? He said, because when he turned around, I ducked down behind the car. I said, okay. Believe your children when they come to you and tell you something that just may seem totally off the fucking wall. I believe my children because I know what I had done. So what that was the spirit that he had attached to my son to drive me fucking crazy. So, okay. We on the back porch, me and my mama. I called him out there to tell my mama what he just told me. And my son was like, y'all don't want to know about his eyes. I was like, what you mean? He said, because he ain't have none. Okay. Next day, we at my mama's house. This same child, my son, came to me begging me to go in my mom's attic. He was like, ooh, ma, I got ants in my pants. I just want to go up there. I ain't never been up there. And I'm like, he was making me nervous. I'm like, you better go sit your head down. Because I know what was going on, but the shit was freaking me the fuck out.
Since it's Halloween, I'm going to tell y'all about a time that this crazy ass bitch put a hex on me. So I had this photo shoot downtown Sacramento at the Rose Garden near the Capitol with my friends Saba and Jasmine. Next to the Rose Garden, there's a cactus garden. And all over the cactus garden, like all in front of it, it says, don't get in the cactuses. But of course, we needed these pics, so we got up in the cactuses. And so I'm in there and I'm posing next to this cactus, like almost like bent over, trying not to actually fall on said cactus. And there's this lady and she just like is walking through the park. She looks like a normal old like hippie lady, right? She's walking through the park and she walked past like the cactus garden is raised and she's walking past. So she's down a level lower than me. And she walked past and she's like, you're not supposed to be in the cactus garden. You guys need to get out of the cactus garden. And we was like, you know, it'll be a minute. Like, we're going to be wrapping up. We're almost done. She's like, no, you need to get out of the cactus garden right now. And we was like, chill. Like, we're going to get out the, you know, I'm just saying, like, what the fuck is you, the motherfucking park ranger, bitch? And so anyway, she stands right there and she's like, lifts up her shirt. I kid you. She lifts up her shirt, stomach all the way out. She had a full on, you know, the circle with the star, satanic words all over that shit, not even in English, okay? And she hexed me. She fucking lifted up her shirt and she was speaking some other language and she whatever, okay? Put a spell on me. And I was just like, bitch, shut the fuck up. Anyways, so she, you know, whatever, she was yelling all her shit. She kept walking and we was just sitting there like, who the fuck gave her that tattoo? Who the fuck agreed to give her a satanic tattoo on her stomach? Y'all don't have morals? Y'all just be giving tattoos to what any kind of tattoo people just want? Anyway, I digress. So she walks away. She's all cussing and stuff at me. She's talking about she's gonna tell somebody, whatever. But like I said, we was almost done taking pictures. So we finished up and then we got out and it was just like, what the fuck? So I say that to tell y'all, she cursed me to my face. Imagine who cursing y'all behind your back. Satan worshipers are real and they're really out there and they're really putting curses on people. Imagine you're sitting at the park, you're having a good day, and you're sitting on this bench at the park that you just found, and a Satan worshiper is walking, and she's like, fuck, that's my favorite bench. She would probably put a hex on you. I feel like it doesn't take much to push them because I wasn't even talking to her. I didn't even mess with her or nothing like that. And she still put a hex on me. So I just feel like y'all need to be aware. Y'all out here celebrating Halloween, the devil's motherfucking holiday. Don't worry, I used to be celebrating it too. But now it just feels so wrong. I'm waking up and it just feels wrong. So I'm just letting you guys know, people out there worshiping Satan and they putting spells on people and they putting hexes on people, and hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your husband, because they putting hex on everybody out here.
So I feel like sharing the story, and I feel like maybe if everyone could get a good laugh, this would really make people feel a little bit less alone on their path. But y'all know that when I talk about I fell and bumped my head a lot, I was not fucking kidding. Especially on my journey when it comes to magic. We're gonna talk about my experience with graveyard dirt. Hold on. So when I talk a lot about how much I had to grow on my journey, I was not kidding. I was very hard-headed and fucking stubborn. So my first ever experience with graveyard dirt was me not asking my mentor at the time, when they were still alive, about the importance of having etiquette before just walking in and taking something that didn't belong to me. Well, I decided I knew what I was doing, and even though she had told me previously, do not take something without leaving something. Do not think you're just gonna walk into a place with no relationship set up and just take whatever you want, right? Well, Angel just knew everything, and Angel was just gonna do whatever she wanted. Well, Angel walked her goofy ass into a graveyard and took some graveyard dirt. Didn't say anything, didn't leave anything at the gate, nothing. I went home and I had it on me for about 2.5, 3 weeks. And in that 2.5, 3 weeks, I had the worst time of my fucking life. I had gotten sick with strep throat because I was still in school. I had gotten sick with strep throat. I had gotten ill. I was having back-to-back fevers. I was throwing up back-to-back. Now, mind you, I've not come into contact with anyone that's had this. So after getting sick, after not feeling well, after doing a bunch of shit, or after going through a bunch of shit, I finally went to go return the graveyard dirt. And not only was I tasked with returning it exactly where the fuck I took it from, I was also tasked with bringing offerings as a way to say that I'm sorry. I had to not just leave money or flowers, I had to leave an entire meal. I still had things that I had to do in order for me to apologize correctly, because I did something I had no business doing. That's why when I say, guys, that I absolutely understand, I am not kidding, because I did a bunch of really stupid shit that I could have honestly avoided had I not just been stubborn. Because your stubbornness really will be your downfall if you are not careful. And that really could have been my downfall had I not just accepted the fact that I had to take the consequences and I still had to go and rectify what I did.
So y'all, I had to come in the bathroom and record this message because my daughter is out there, and yes. Anyway, so tell me why. I had went to work, okay, and then I normally take a lunch bag, right? Everybody knows it's my lunch bag because a lot of people always compliment me on this lunch bag because it's so bright. It's like so noticeable that most people be like, oh, I like your bag. So this one particular day, I was at work, and on night shift, it's usually just a few people on a shift, or it's right at the time where the day shift is leaving and morning shift is coming, but it's still only a few people, right? So this particular day, I decided to leave my lunch bag in the office, the main office, instead of taking it upstairs to like the lounge area or lunch room or whatever you want to call it. Just an extra area for the employees to go to, right? But I left it in the office, and there was a and I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't think nothing of it. It was somebody sitting by my lunch bag, but I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't think that, me leaving my bag there, it would be unsafe or whatever, because, the girl that was sitting there, she was kikiing with me, laughing, talking, starting these small talk ass conversations or whatever, because normally I come in and I speak and I pretty much stay to myself. I do my job and I go home. It's no getting to know people or my other employees on a personal level. So right? Anyway, I wound up leaving my bag in the corner where this particular employee was at. Went on about my day. Eventually she left because I think she was day shift. So because at night it's only 3 of us. So I know that it wasn't the other 2 people that I was working with. But anyway, when I get off of the shift, I didn't even look in my bag. When I got home, I put my bag over to the side because there was nothing perishable left in my bag, and I kind of just put it over to the side. So didn't think much of it. Got time for me to go to my second job, and I'm getting ready. Still didn't notice nothing was in my bag. I'm throwing stuff in there because I'm rushing out the door, whatever. Get to my other job, And I open my bag and I'm looking. Somebody took some gum out they bull face ass mouth and stuck it on the inside of my lunch bag, right? So I'm like, maybe I did, because sometimes I do keep a little small trash bag in my lunch bag, you know. But I'm like, I ain't had no gum, so this wasn't my gum. Somebody literally deliberately opened my lunch bag and put gum in the inside of my lunch bag. So I started kind of boiling in the inside, and I'm around people, so I don't want them to think I'm going crazy. So I just had to play it cool, be chill about it, right? Because I'm thinking like, who would do some nasty shit like this, right? So I'm like, okay. It only could have been that person that was sitting right there by my bag, the one that was doing all the keying. You know, motherfuckers love to smile in your face, but they really be plotting behind your back. And see, y'all might think, well, it's just gum. It's not just the gum. It's the fact that somebody thought that it was the malice behind what they did. Gum is something nasty to me. It's coming directly out of your mouth. And for you to take it out your mouth and put it in the inside of my bag, because what is it? Why would you do that? Are you jealous of the fact that I have a lunch bag? Are you jealous of me? Are you envious of me? Are you mad at the fact that I don't kiki with y'all all the time? I just come in here and do my job and go home. Like, what is the problem? But then I began to realize that is the problem. Motherfuckers be mad when you like mysterious in a way. Like, they can't figure you out. She might think she too good to talk to us, or whatever the case may be. Like, you never know what be going through people's mind to make them do the shit that they do. Like, you mad at a person minding their own fucking business, and then you sit your big fat sloppy big back ass, because she's a big motherfucker, and that she sat her ass there and was talking to me the whole time like she ain't just put her motherfucking nasty ass gum in my lunch bag. But it's okay though. It's okay, because I'm gonna give me some hot foot. I'm gonna get some motherfucking hot foot in a motherfucking jar and put that motherfucking gum in there. And those who know exactly what's finna go down, because I'm finna return that shit right back to center, and everything, every ill intent that you sent when you put that motherfucking gum in my bag. Good day, bitch.
Okay, I'm gonna put this shit as blunt as it needs to be. These love spells will get y'all monkey asses killed.
Okay, so let me tell you, she's absolutely right. And this is my situation about what happened to me with my ex-husband and his mom. So when I first met my ex-husband, I was like new to my spirituality. I probably had only been studying for like maybe a year. And I only really studied things that had to do with like self-love, self-healing, self-things. So I really didn't like know a lot of the warning signs to look for in the beginning for people that are doing root work on other people. So now when I think back, there were a lot of red flags in the beginning that had I known, I'd have been able to see. Like, for instance, our first like date, he wanted to come to my house and cook for me, and I'm thinking, oh, that's so sweet. Like, I love a man that can cook. So welcome to part 2. So here we go. So so our first date, he wanted to cook. I'm thinking, oh, okay, that's awesome. I love a man that could cook. One red flag was he wanted to cook me like a sausage thing in a red sauce, and I don't eat red sauce. But I didn't think nothing of it because I live in Louisiana. A lot of people eat red sauces. So I'm like, all right, I didn't think nothing of it. Second red flag that had I known back then to look out for. The first time I was like riding in his car, I went into his console for something he asked me to grab, and there was like a bunch of his dreadlocks or his locks in the console. And I'm like, why are you riding around with a bunch of your hair in the console? Now that really struck me as weird. But when I asked him, he was like, when I lose some, because they were like super long, like past his butt long, almost to his butt long. So he was like, oh, well, when I lose some, I keep them and I hold on to them so that when I go get my hair done, the girl that does my hair, she sews them back in my head, and then I just keep them in the car because, you know, I don't have to go looking for them. They're right there when I go get my hair done, so I don't forget them, and And then also he quickly mentioned I also keep them because I don't want to leave them laying around just in case somebody finds them. And I'm like, at that point, that should have been my like my red flag, as if like, you know, he believes in that type of stuff. But his mom plays such a like, oh, I'm such a devout Christian role, and they're like such a like godly family that the flag when he said that went off, but it wasn't like, you know, I was like, I'm in Louisiana. A lot of people believe that, you know, don't throw your hair away, wrap your hair in tissue and flush it down the toilet. Like, that's things I've always been told growing up. So it wasn't like weird to hear it. It was just kind of like, oh, but y'all go to church every Sunday. Your mom acts like, you know, she don't believe in that type of stuff. She always, you know, the Lord gonna take care of me type, you know, deal. So I'm like, okay. So another flag that I ignored was when the first time I met his mom, they had like a living room, and then when she went into the living room, there was like a den with a sofa in it, and she was like laying in the den. And I remember when he first introduced me to her, the lights were all off, and you know, she's a darker complected woman. She's laying on the sofa, and I thought maybe because my eyes had to adjust to the amount of, or the lack thereof, light in the room. Okay, so this is part 3. So fast forward, I meet his mom. So I walk into this den. It's dark. She's a darker complected woman. So I'm thinking my eyes are playing tricks on me, and I'm thinking I have to adjust to the lack of light in the room first before I can really like make out her face. But when I first glanced into the room, she looked demonic. Like, the first thing I saw looked demon-like, but I ignored it. Like, I was like, you know, it's dark in here. She's a darker complected woman. My eyes need to adjust to the lack of light, because it goes from like sunlight in the living room to like just pitch black in the den. So it was like nothing. So I'm thinking I talked myself out of seeing what my spirit guides were trying to show me already. So that was another flag right there that I ignored. Then sometime between me and him talking for a few weeks or so, he was like, hey, I want you to like keep my hair. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he was like, I trust you won't do anything with it. Like, I want you to like hold on to my hair or whatever. And I'm thinking it's like a sweet gesture, because he explained to me how important it was for nobody to get it or whatever. So I'm thinking, oh, like, you know, he trusts me, whatever. So like I made like little like bracelets and stuff out of it, and like kept it in safe places. And when I think back on it, knowing what I know now, he was trying to do a love spell on me. He was trying to bind us together by having me keep his hair, feeding me foods that was going to make me love him. Now, that I had to let all the red flags I saw be known first before I get into like what the fuck started happening from there. It got crazy. Let's just say I now have a permanent restraining order on him. And you know how rare it is for a judge to grant a permanent restraining order against somebody? Okay, so now that I done gave y'all a little bit of background on the warning signs that could have prevented me from being in the situation I was in, let me get into the things that started happening once I was deep into the situation. So he flipped the script. When I tell you, at first he was like the sweetest, most intimate, most caring, most just innocent man I ever met, to being the craziest, most psychotic, most stalkerish, angry, just, and I did not understand what the problem was, what the issue was, what was going on. He would fight me all the time. He would assault me on multiple occasions, break my things, punch holes in my things. One, like, he started displaying these like really these hard signs of like insecurity that I never picked up on was there before, because that's a major turn off for me. So I never picked up on that being there while we were just in like the talking stage or anything. So, and I couldn't understand where any of this was coming from. I felt like it was something I was doing wrong. I felt like it was something that maybe I'm triggering him in some type of way. No, it was what he was trying to put on me backfiring on him. is what it was, or him and his mom trying to do to me that was backfiring on him. So fast forward, I become really good friends with one of his brother's baby mama, and she was telling me that there was like a rumor in their hometown that their mom does voodoo, my ex-husband's mom. And I was like, I've never seen any signs of her doing such things in the house. So I went on a mission. I was like, on the cool, I was like digging through stuff in the house or like searching for stuff in the house, but like I couldn't let it be known, you know. And then she puts on such a good front of like, I'm a Christian woman type thing, you know, like we love God in this house type deal. So I'm like, I don't see anything. I can't find anything. It was right in my face, y'all, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know enough to know what it was. So I went in the children's room because his daughter, and then she took in like one of her sister's grandchildren. They had a room in the house. I went in there. I went in the closet. There was like a wall in the closet that had all kinds of writing on it. And it was like indistinguishable writing. I couldn't make out what it was. It was like from top to bottom, writing on top of writing on top of writing. Okay, so like I said, I find this wall. It has writing all over it. I can't make it out because it's like stacked on top of each other, like covering the wall in these children's closet. So I can't make it out. But at this point, I'm like weirded out. So this is when I really started like trying to pay attention to certain things. So like I said, this man would fight me all the time. Like it had got to the point where he would fight me in front of his family. It didn't matter. So at one point, I started to realize that every time he would fight me and I was like, I'm done, I don't want to be with you no more, go back to your mama house, whatever. His mom would fix me a plate of food and try to feed me. And it would always be like something with like some greens in it or like red beans and rice, like food that you gotta like smother and cook down. See where I'm going with this? Because when they cook that type of food, you can put whatever ingredients, herbs, whatever you want in it and cook it and smother it down and hide it. You gotta keep that in mind. So I started to like realize that. So it had got to a point where when she would fix me a plate of food, I refused to eat it. I would go get me some fast food. I just wouldn't eat that day. Whatever it was, I did not eat the food or whatever. And I started to realize it would like piss her off. She would get pissed if I did not want to eat. Like it was like she would constantly come to the back room and come try to bother me and like, you need to eat. I already fixed your food. Don't worry. Like, what are you fixing my food for? I'm a grown ass woman. Like, you don't have to fix my food. But that's what it was. We would argue, we would fight. He would tell his mom he wanted me to act a certain way, or he wanted me to he didn't want me to leave him. So she would try to fix food and make me eat it and put whatever she needed, herbs she needed to put in it to make me stay. Because I started realizing when I stopped eating her food, I stopped looking at him in the light that I was viewing him in, as far as being so just head over heels in love with him. When I would eat her food, it was like the colors were brighter. It was like I just loved him so much that I just really wanted to work it out. When I stopped eating her food is when I realized he ain't shit, she ain't shit, this whole family ain't shit. The trees are just as dull here as they are in any other city, any other town around here. Like, that's when I started realizing, okay, this is it. Also, when I would eat her food, not only would I take him back and forgive him, but I would get really horrible period cramps. Horrible. Like back pain. My legs don't work. There was also an instance where his mom was on this kick, like, there's about to be no more small children in this house. I really want small children in this house again. Y'all need to give me a grandbaby. I want another grandbaby. Da, da, da. And I'm looking like, lady, your son is fucking crazy. I'm trying to figure out my escape plan right the fuck now. What do you mean you want a baby? Like, what are you talking about? For a week straight, this woman would fix my food and bring it to me, and I would just like, I would pretend to eat it, and when she would like walk away, I would throw it out because I was like, she trying to give me something to make me pregnant for this man, and I'm not trying to be stuck with this man. I'm already working on my escape plan. Like, what the fuck is you talking about? So now fast forward, keep in mind we're already like married and stuff at this point. So fast forward, it's like little things started. I guess he didn't realize that in binding me to him, he also was binding himself, because he can't be faithful to save his fucking life. Like, I've heard every story in the book after the fact about him cheating on all his girlfriends, but in binding him to me, or in trying to bind me to him, whichever way you want to think about it, he also like binded his own free will in a way, because he knows he wants to go out and be a hoe, but for some reason he can't. So he's constantly fighting his fucking self, and he's constantly like arguing with his fucking self, and he's constantly like dishing stuff out at me as if it's my fault. Now, one thing I did think about that also could have been a red flag when we first met. He told me he was showing pictures of me to his mom back before we were even like a thing. He was like, yeah, when I first started talking to you on the phone, I was like showing my mom your Instagram, and she thought you were just so beautiful and and all this stuff. And he would just always tell me like stuff like that. And now when I think about it, it's like, why was you showing me to this old woman? Because you was trying to get her to do workings to bring us together. That's what it was. Like, now that I'm thinking about it. Now, fast forward, I do my own self-work to get away from him, leave him, get away from him. I go through court proceedings and all kind of stuff to get the physical world taken care of. But I had to also get the spiritual world taken care of, too. Now, mind you, when I leave him, okay, I'm going to have to do a part 6. Okay, so that's just a little bit of the stuff that like I was dealing with. Now, fast forward, when I leave him, I get 2 random phone calls. One was from a niece of his that barely came around the family. The second was from her half-sister. So the niece calls me the morning after she realizes I like kicked him out. I'm completely done with him. I don't want anything to do with him. I end up putting him on blast on social media. Like, my post went a little viral. So everybody kind of knew at that point. And the reason why I put him on blast was, 1, because people need to know about crazy motherfuckers like that. But 2, he wouldn't leave me alone. Like, he was blowing my phone up to the point where I couldn't use my phone. And I would block one number and he would call me from another number. And it was to the point where he was like burning my phone up. Like, my phone was like getting so hot that it would shut off and shut back on. So fast forward, the niece calls. The niece is like, hey, I just want to know how you're doing. She was like, I know, me and you never really talk, so if you don't want to talk to me about whatever you're going through, that's fine. But she was like, I wanted to call you and see how you're doing because there's some things I need to let you know. The niece proceeds to tell me, my grandmother, which is my husband's mom, my ex-husband's mom, fuck with that shit. I'm like how? And she was like, if we ask her to do something for us, it's gonna get done. And she was like, me personally, I don't mess with that side of my family. That's why you probably could count on one hand how many times you and my uncle was together and you seen me come around. That is why. So she was like, because I don't mess with the family like that, they don't really let me in on stuff like that. But she said my sister has called my grandmother on 3-way before, and I've had my phone mute, and she's told my grandmother that she wants her baby daddy back, or she wants her baby daddy to stop messing around with such and such, and my grandmother has told her, just say what you want and I can make it happen. Read between those lines. So she was like, I need to tell you that you need to go get you a healer or a reader. I don't know if you believe in that type of stuff. She was like, I'm telling you what I know. She was like, my dad, which is my ex-husband's brother, used to beat on my mom when they was together, to the point where as a child I'm sitting there like, why in the hell are you taking this? And she said, I kid you not, every time he would beat on her or treat her like crap and she was ready to go, my grandmother would pull up with a plate of food, she'd eat it, and the next morning she would take my dad back like nothing happened, and it would just the cycle would repeat over and over. I'm gonna have to do a part 8. Okay, so after she tells me that she knows for a fact that her grandmother, so now I have like hardcore proof, you know, like now I have somebody who is in the family telling me, no, this old bad fucks with that shit and she'll do whatever we tell her to do. And she was like, you best believe he's over there telling her how much you broke his fucking heart, so you better get spiritually ready for whatever's about to come your way, because she do not play when it come to her children. So I end up getting the number to a healer, which I still use till this day. I love her to death. As soon as me and her, and it's like a over the phone reading, because mind you, this is like peak COVID time. So we get on the phone, and as soon as we get on the phone, she was like, normally I start off with, you know, X, Y, and Z, but she was like, I need to stop you right here. I see a old woman, mind you, my husband's mom is like 81 or something. She was like, I see an older black woman and she is evil. Evil, evil, evil. And you saw how evil she was, but you ignored it. Mind you, I told you about the first time I saw her in the den. So she was like, okay, we got to do some things, because she's trying to work on you. And she started naming, at this point, she started like naming things that was wrong with me that I never told anybody. Like, she was like, normally you have a really heavy appetite and you love to eat. But she said lately you've been finding yourself not able to eat a thing. Like, you get hungry, you go get you something to eat, or you go to the kitchen, fix you something to eat, and you can't even finish it. And I'm like, you know what, you right. And she was like, baby, you've been losing weight like crazy. And she was like, on top of that, normally you get good rest, you get good sleep. She was like, lately you ain't been sleeping. You've been going to bed late at night, you've been waking up super early, you ain't getting no sleep. And she was like, normally you're the type of person that when you get out of bed, you up and going. But she said you've been getting out of bed and finding something just making you go back and lay back in that bed. She said that woman is working on you. And the reason why you're not getting any sleep is because your spirit guides is trying to fight her off, because she's trying to put you back in that bed every morning when you get back up. She's trying to put you back in that bed because you're so strong spiritually and mentally that the only way she can work on you is when you're sleeping and you don't realize it. But when you awake, oh baby, she having the time of her life fighting you when you awake. And that is when I realized. So yeah, so now me and my healer, we're like, she's telling me, she's describing this woman. She's like, you know who the fuck I'm talking about. I'm like, oh yeah, I know who the shit you're talking about. So she tells me what I gotta do to stop it. She's like, look, you need to do this, 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 and this. It's gonna stop it or whatever. So on my way, mind you, I go and pick up the things that she told me to pick up. I had to go drop my roommate back to my apartment. On my way to go do another errand, mind you, I still have like all my protection things in the car with me. One of the things she told me, she was like, you just got a brand new car. How she knew that, I don't know, because I literally had just got that car like 3 days before that. She was like, you just got a brand new car. I was like, uh-huh. And she was like, they're trying to do something to your car. I don't like it. I need you to do this and this to protect your car. So now, fast forward, I drop my roommate off. I'm on my way to go run another errand. A car cuts me off at the red light. Like, we're pulling up to a red light. I don't know where the fuck this dude is going. I don't know what possessed him to want to be speeding to cut me off just to get to the red light first. But okay, that's fine. So this car speeds in front of me, cuts me off at the red light. Now the light turns green, we're going. As soon as we start moving, An oncoming SUV swerves the lane out of nowhere, hits the car in front of me that cut in front of me, and knocks them into the field. They go spinning, both the SUV and the truck. They go spinning. I'm sitting there like, now I'm stopped because everybody, like, traffic is stopped now. Everybody's trying to make sure that these people are okay. The driver of the SUV got out and was confused. Like, nobody in that SUV understood what the fuck happened. They were confused as to how they even jumped the lane to hit that car or that truck. Y'all, had that truck not cut me off, that was supposed to be me. And that SUV would have demolished my little car. That man was okay because that was a truck that they hit. If that SUV would have hit me like they hit that truck, I probably wouldn't be here. And I feel like that was meant for me. That bitch was trying to fucking kill me because I don't want her fucking son. So, my healer also told me that that she had already put like some type of concoction down in front of my apartment, right? Now, what was strange about that was, like, the day before I spoke to my healer, my roommate called us all to the front door and was like, there's this white powder on our doormat. We don't know where the fuck it came from. We didn't know what the fuck it was. We didn't touch it, but we were like, what the hell is that shit? So my healer brought that up. Mind you, this lady is over the phone. She does not fucking know me. She was like, she's already been in your apartment. She's already put down whatever she needs to put down. I need you to throw away that doormat. I'm like, whoa. She was like, throw away the doormat. Whatever it is, she put it in the doormat, under the doormat. You need to throw it away. Put on some gloves. Walk that shit to the nearest dumpster outside. Do not bring that shit in your fucking house. Get rid of it. So that's what we did. And she and my roommate bought that doormat because of the saying that was on it. She knew I was going to fucking love it. And before we even said anything, she was like, and I don't give a fuck how much that doormat costs. Get the fuck rid of it. I'm like, oh shit. So yeah, we got rid of that shit. I did everything she told me to do. I started eating more. I got my appetite back. I started being able to sleep. And I haven't had any issues with it since. The last time I saw her was when me and my ex-husband were going to court and, you know, dealing with everything. And she was sitting outside of the courthouse when I was walking out with my lawyer. She was sitting in front of the courthouse just looking how she be looking with this smug look on her face, like she just knew she was like whooping my ass spiritually. Bitch, little do you know, I had to call my spiritual warriors and jump on that ass, because you not about to come put the glee on me and think everything finna be all good. No ma'am. Return the sender, because that was my experience with it. And also something else the niece said, remember I brought up the food? The niece was like, come on, Kyla, who do you know cook red bean and rice and greens and stews and stuff like that every single day of the week? That is not food that you cook like every single day of the week. She was like, come on now. Think about it. That's all stuff you can hide that shit in. I was like, you fucking right. But my intuition had already told me to stop eating her fucking food, you know. And I remember I told y'all it pissed her off that I didn't want to eat her food no more.
From a witch's point of view, like I would honestly not say I recommend this, right? But I would say that this is one of the safer forms of love magic. It really is. It really is. Now, don't mishear me and don't make it be like I said nothing could go wrong, which a lot of things could go wrong with this. But this is a very smart and easy and cute form of love magic. And it could definitely like do some things for you. But all I'm saying is they do look happy. I would do it if I were. I'm not saying I recommend, like I said before, but I would do it. I would do it.
Is hoodoo a religion, or is it a Black American folk magic practice? Let's talk about it. Based on my research...
Psych, I don't give a fuck. My question is, why'd y'all leave the church only to keep the colonizing habit of being in people's business? Do I consider hoodoo my religion? No. But I fully respect anybody who claims their ancestral practice as their religion. I could go through an encyclopedia list of the fish we really need to fry in 2022, but I'm gonna leave it on this. If it's not hurting you and it brings someone else healing to name something for themselves, why are you in their black business?
Don't put that thing on me, 'cause